Hey, remember me? SHAZAM! Fury of the Gods is brought to us by director David F. Sandberg and stars Zachary Levi, Grace Caroline Curry, and Helen Mirren. Fury of the Gods continues the story of teenage Billy Batson who, upon reciting the magic word SHAZAM, is transformed into his adult superhero alter ego, SHAZAM. So SHAZAM! Fury of the Gods is the sequel to 2019 SHAZAM, which me, myself, personally, I really like. I got a review for it like somewhere up in this area. Here, check it out. This was during a time that the DC movies weren't in the best of places, but they were on the come up, kind of like right now. We hope, at least. The first movie was a breath of fresh air for the DCEU. It was a fun, entertaining story with fun, entertaining characters. It was one of the better DCEU movies we had gotten in recent memory, so when the trailer for SHAZAM 2, Fury of the Gods, got released, it looked pretty cool and I was pretty excited. But the movie's got issues. Now, I'm not saying this movie's teetotal dog shit or anything. It's not. Overall, I'm gonna say just right here out of the gate, no, it's not as good as the first one. I like the first one as an entire package. There are things that this movie does better than the first one, but there are some real key things that this movie doesn't do as good as the first one. First and foremost, pacing. Yeah, it's just not good, or at least for part of the movie, it's not good. The pacing of the first half of the movie, especially the middle portion, is just really all over the place and slow as hell at times. This movie clocks in at 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it absolutely could have been reduced down to an hour and 45 minutes, if not more. There's just so much dead space in the middle portion of this film. They absolutely could have given us the information they're trying to give us at this point in the film a whole lot quicker. Case in point, we spend an exuberant amount of time with Freddy and another character I don't want to mention just searching around for stuff. And you really just don't care about this part. And yeah, it is interspliced with other parts of the movie, but you don't really care about those parts either. Now, I did like how they gave some of the other characters in the film a bit more backstory and time to shine a bit this time around. But honestly, if we had to lose some of that in order to condense this thing down and make it a more brisk runtime and feeling flick, I would have been okay with that. Now, when it comes to the characters in the film, I did actually enjoy pretty much all of them. Everybody does a really good job. I liked seeing these guys on screen when they were doing something, when they were just kind of like walking around doing nothing, trying to figure out little things here or there. It just was kind of boring. But the other times, when they're doing stuff, when we're getting to see their personality, when we're getting to know more about them, they're out there doing things and having their little back and forth and quips, that was a good time. Now, the one issue I did have with the characters would be the character of Billy Batson, or more specifically SHAZAM. Not really just SHAZAM or just Billy Batson, but when you put these two together, they seem like two different people. All the other Shazamites, whatever the rest of the family's called, that they Shazam into adults as well, their adult counterparts seems like the same characters, just in adult form. Zachary Levi's SHAZAM does not seem like the same character as the Billy Batson teenager. In fact, the teenager seems more mature than the adult SHAZAM. It's really weird, and he's the only one that does that. It doesn't break the movie or anything, but it is something I definitely noticed. Now, something the movie does do better this time around than the first one would be its villains. This time we have Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, and they are far superior villains to Mark Strong's villain in the first film. Nothing against Mark Strong, he's awesome, but in that movie, he was almost like an afterthought. He was just the most generic villain that you've ever genericked. But these guys, they have a reason for what they're doing. I don't necessarily agree with them. I understand it. Whenever you can understand a villain, it makes them more relatable. And they also have a bit more layers than Mark Strong's did in the first one. I just wish things had moved along a bit faster. There are parts with the villains that are just kind of like, go on forever and ever, and I'm like, just get to the point. That being said though, yes, the villains here are better than they were the first time. Special effects wise, everything looks great. I mean, it's like a $200 million+ movie, so I mean, yeah, sure, it looks like CGI. I mean, you just know that's what you're gonna get in superhero movies nowadays, but it's solid CGI. Everything looks good. Nothing ever pulled me out. However, the last like 30+ minutes of this movie, it's just a mess of CGI. Not, when I say mess, I don't mean like you can't tell what's going on or it doesn't look good, but it's just what all superhero movies are now. They're just CGI everywhere and stuff blowing up, and you get kind of numb to it by the end. It doesn't have that something special. I just wish they would have done something a bit different with their superhero movie ending than they did in this one. I will say that the end of the movie is the most entertaining part of the film. That is when the pacing, the editing, everything does come together to make a crowd-pleasing, entertaining portion of the film. It's nothing that you haven't really seen before. It's not amazing, but it is thoroughly entertaining. I'll say that. I can't say I wasn't entertained while watching it, because I was. Now, I mean, some of that entertainment may be due to the fact that nothing was happening for so long that when something started happening, it just seemed all that much more cooler. But either way, the end of this movie, I was having a fairly good time with it. Now, the last thing I will say about this movie, because this review is getting a bit too long, is that all these things I mentioned, at least most of them, maybe not the special effects, but all the other stuff, the inconsistencies, the pacing, the character issues here or there, things like that, I do truly think that there is a possibility that a lot of these are due to, for the past year or so, while DCEU and DCU and the James Gunn and Peter Safran and the Walter Hamada, all that stuff has been going on with Warner Brothers and DC. They've been hacking away at this movie and Aquaman and The Flash, and these movies are probably nothing like they originally were. During this movie, while I was watching it, I was like, I feel like something's either missing, or they maybe cut something out and reshot something and put it in here, and it doesn't quite, this doesn't feel like the direction they were going at times. And I think that that is why the pacing is a bit off. I mean, the movie is competently made. It looks good. It's put together well as far as what they had. There's just these long stretches of kind of nothing, and I feel like there was something there. Now, at the end of the day, I can't review or speak to something that I've never seen or don't even know if it was actually there or not. I can only speak to what I saw, and as far as what I saw, I mean, it was fine. Guys, Shazam! Fury of the Gods was okay. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great, and it wasn't as good overall as the first film. It does have some good things going for it, but it's got a lot of things going against it as well, especially that pacing. Man, it draws to a halt at times, and it is kind of tough to get through that middle portion. But if you are able to look past some of these issues that I mentioned here, or if these things just don't bother you, I think you will find that while not the greatest superhero movie by far, Shazam! Fury of the Gods is a decent enough time and worth checking out on streaming.
Across the street.
While I didn't hate this movie by any means, I gotta admit I am a bit disappointed. I really liked the first movie and I was looking forward to this one being good, but you know, it is what it is. I mean, it's not awful, like I said, but don't go out of your way to see this thing or anything. Just check it out when it comes home. So there it is, guys, my review of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you want to help out the channel, check out my Patreon in the description below and become a jarhead and get some of the awesome benefits to go along with that, like these guys, and possibly join my top tier and become a bad motherfucker like my man Silverlock and Marge G. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Philadelphia. So real quick, there are two scenes after the credits in this film. Well, one mid-credit and then one post-credit scene. And neither of them really amount to much, especially with the direction the DCU, EU, whatever it is, DC movies, the direction that they're going. Neither of these really mean much, but there's also a cameo in this movie. And I thought it was fine. Was it needed? No, but what cameo is needed? I've heard some people apparently thinking that the cameo was wasted. I don't think it was wasted. I mean, this character or person, this cameo, it's just that. It's a cameo. I don't know if people were expecting more out of this, but then it wouldn't be a cameo. It would be an actual role. It's not that. It's just a cameo appearance by this character, and yeah, it's kind of goofy the way that it goes down and why and how and all that. As far as like this particular cameo goes, I thought it was fine. And I'm sure there'll be people in the comments that are like, oh no, the cameo was fucking stupid, it was fucking terrible, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you know, hey, you do you.